Meeting will come to order. I'd like to welcome everyone out this afternoon for the June the 2nd, 2025 meeting of the Caswell County Board of Commissioners. If you would, join me in a moment of silent prayer followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag, the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Public comments.
No one has signed up.
All right. Recognitions. We'll start with you, Mr. Ingram.
Nothing, Chair.
Mr. Rose.
I don't know if this is a recognition night, but just like everyone to be in prayer for the Johnson family. Our county attorney lost his father. Just ask for everyone to be in prayer for that family as they go through the next few days, which is going to be kind of difficult. Thank you.
Mr. Smith.
Yes, sir. I'd just like to thank the school board and staff for allowing several members of the Board of Commissioners to come out and view the school's critical needs, capital needs.
Mr. Totten.
Nope.
All right. Consent agenda, which consists of tonight's meeting agenda and the open session minutes from 5/19. Gentlemen, if you would, item 7, which is the recommended budget for 25-26, that discussion will be moved to the last item of business for tonight. We still have several things to talk about. And the first item tonight, it is not under discussion, but we're going to go ahead and take care of it at this time, is the appointment of John Claggett to fill the vacancy from the resignation of Rick McVeigh. Mr. Claggett, if you would come forward, I believe the clerk of court is here to administer your oath of office.
Up here, Mr. Claggett.
Hold that for him. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Claggett, congratulations to you, sir. As I administer your oath of office, be sworn. Do you, John F. Claggett, solemnly and sincerely swear that you will support and maintain the Constitution and laws of the United States and the Constitution and laws of North Carolina, not inconsistent therewith, that you will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the state of North Carolina and to the constitutional powers and authorities which are or may be established for the government thereof, that you will endeavor to support, maintain, and defend the Constitution of the said state, not inconsistent with the Constitution of the United States, to the best of your knowledge and ability, so help you God. And do you further solemnly swear that you will faithfully and honestly discharge the duties of County Commissioner to the best of your ability and understanding, so help you God? Congratulations, sir. Yes, sir. Oh, Mr. Claggett. Mr. Claggett. Mr. Claggett. One of the most important things, execute your oath. If you come around, if you will sign, and I prepared 3 originals. One more. What I'll do is I'll give you one, give one to the clerk of the board, and I'll take one and record it with the register of deeds. All right, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you there, Mr. Clerk. Appreciate that. All right, do I have a motion that we approve the agenda and the minutes of our last meeting?
So moved.
A motion from Commissioner Smith,
Second.
second from Commissioner Rose. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. All right, item number 8, Danville-Caswell Water and Sewer Service Agreement Amendment. Mr. Whitaker.
So what you have in your packet is the original amendment for the water and sewer services. It dates back to 1990. And what you also have in your packets are 5 different amendments that occurred over a time period of 1992 to 99. And this relates to the Cherokee Tobacco or Firebird project slated for the Pelham Industrial Park. And there was a concern, is a concern being discussed between the attorneys related to the amendments and the timing related to this project as far as termination for either party. And in the attorney's absence, we did talk briefly this morning, and an amendment, a proposed amendment has been written, and I will get you copies tomorrow on that. That's not fully written and vetted yet, but the idea was that if we could at least get a consensus of the board that you like the direction of that amendment, we would then forward that to the city of Danville. I did talk with the manager there last Friday, and of course, he would be presenting that to his board for consideration. So as far as the process, we thought if we could get a consensus on, after you've seen that, after I send it out, if that looks favorable to you, we would send that on, hoping for their adoption, and then look at adopting it with this board on the 16th at the next meeting.
Okay, so you will be emailing it to the board tomorrow? Did
I
hear
can,
right?
I can send that to you tomorrow.
Okay.
He gave me the gist of it today, but I didn't have time to put it together in a
Okay,
format to give you this evening.
if I'm remembering correctly, discussions that you and I and the attorney had, is that the way it's set up now is that, you know, the city of Danville could cut the water off and give 3 years' notice and say, we're not going to supply water and sewer anymore to the Pelham Industrial Park. Am I correct?
Right, there's 2 sections under Part A, I think it's 2A and 2B that we're proposing changes to. And just at a high level, from the conversation I had with Danville's manager, you know, this agreement's been in place all the way back to 90, and it's been amended several times, and he expects you know, just a collaborative effort on their part with this, but we do need to make those amendments, which will take some time. And those amendments, of course, need to satisfy all parties.
All right. Everyone okay with manager sending that tomorrow? And if you have an issue with it, you would please let him know.
Yes,
Otherwise, he will forward it on, and hopefully we can take a vote on it at the meeting on the 16th.
Okay.
All right. Item number 9, the Department of Juvenile Justice Probation lease. Mr. Whitaker?
so this involves 2 rooms at the Guilford Mills facility that are referenced, the room 405 and 406. And what you have in your packet is the lease proposal and also a facilities diagram there. Since the writing of this agenda packet, I do have the actual lease to be looked at by our attorney. So again, expect this to be ready for the June 16th meeting. And as you see there in the staff comments, there's a statute that requires counties to provide this office space for probation officers, which is a state function. And so this is nothing new. It's just a continuation of this lease with the terms in that proposal. So again, I will forward you that lease after the actual lease agreement instead of just the proposal after our attorneys reviewed that. And hopefully you'll be ready for consideration of that at the June 16th meeting.
Okay. Any questions? All right, the CoSquare event policies and fees, and before you dive into that, did the attorney?
We talked about that, yes.
Okay.
So we talked this morning about it. So just as a reminder, this has been before you as a proposed policy and separate fee schedule for additional usage and revenue for CoSquare. And the reason it's being talked about again is at the last meeting, it was brought up, one of the uses particularly brought up, and we'll look under the allowable uses there. And it's listed as, give me just a second to find it. So one of the items listed, I'm sorry, under not allowed, events promoting, there's a couple of things that come into play here potentially, but it's focused on the second bullet point, not allowed political rallies or events endorsing specific candidates or parties. And that potentially could also involve events promoting hate speech, discrimination, or violence. So as the attorney and I spoke about this morning, he had done a fair amount of research on it. And what he determined is basically this is a political decision. It could go either way because of really the status, as our attorney sees it, of that facility. It is for business uses. It's also a public use. And from his research, he could make an argument to support either direction, meaning not as we have it proposed in the policy, allowing political rallies or events endorsing specific candidates' parties, or you could allow that with the caveat that just needs to be done uniformly. So in other words, if there is a group that and I won't provide an example here, but if there was a group that wanted to rent the facility, that maybe there was a strong negative reaction by the general public and even the board related to that particular group, if you allow it, the recommendation would be to treat them all the same and to allow even what you might not want there as a renter of that space. So at the end of the day, after talking with the attorney about this, it really just comes down to this political decision you have, whether you want to open that item up to CoSquare rentals or not.
Right. You all have heard the manager's comments. Any questions? Board, Mr. Claggett?
How will this this affect the current facilities use policy?
Will it affect the current use policy of CoSquare? This proposed policy? Or do we have a policy?
We do have a policy. Do you have anything to add to that?
It will not affect the current policy.
Okay, will no effect on current policy. Any other questions?
Mr. Chairman.
Yep. Oh,
I don't think it'd really be an issue for the fact if it was just a building that we were leasing and there was no occupants in that building. So if you've got occupants in there working who are leasing space and then you have something take place in the front part, I think you can run into some issues with that. It's kind of like, you know, a little bit different, just renting the building, nobody's in it. Then if you had 3 or 4 people in there working and somebody was renting it and their beliefs or their, were different than the parties that were renting the space. I just don't want to see us get into no issues with, any clashes of anybody and, cause any problems for this board or the taxpayers. Thank you.
The type of events, direct to the county manager, the type of events that will take place is determined by an application process. Is that correct? I think that came up earlier that, I don't know, someone in charge, but you have to apply to use the facility. And so I think in the application process, there's a description in there, a brief description of what you're going to be doing. So I think that's going to help us out tremendously. And whoever makes that decision, but we don't want to cut ourselves short. If people are going to be renting it, we need the funds, I would think, you know. Certainly not hate, you know. But I think that can be rectified. If anything that's not proper, I think it can be rectified on the back end, I'm sure. Someone will complain and then we can make a decision on whether.
And from an administrative standpoint, what that looks like is if you decide not to allow that use, political rallies or events endorsing specific candidates or parties, that's just going to be the rule. That's going to be the policy on that. And if there are groups, and I shouldn't say groups, I can't think of multiple groups, but if there is a, let's say, generally less desirable type of group that might be displeasing to the general public and to the board, management is not going to be making a decision. If you allow that, anybody that meets that description of political rallies or events endorsing specific candidates or parties will be allowed. So there won't be any manager's discretion at that point. So your decision is either allow it and accept whatever comes our way or not to allow it.
Any other questions?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
The revenues would be nice and appreciated, but like you said, it does take away our ability to control the functions going on there, and it could get extreme, in my opinion.
If we, and like you've already stated, Scott, if we allow for one, we gotta allow for all. You know, if a group from, I'll use your terminology, less than desirable, as far as what the county residents would like to see there, you know, if we allow it, we have to let them use it. We can't pick and choose, in other words. Am I thinking about this correctly?
Right. And what the attorney said this morning was a little more detail. He said that he feels the county may prohibit all speech by outsiders as one option, but it also may allow such speech and therefore rental use. So that's what I was explaining. It's just up to the board. It's your call.
Okay. Okay, gentlemen, you have the policy there in front of you. We've talked about it for, I know the last 2 meetings. We need to get this one behind us. Do I have a motion to approve policy as presented?
And before you consider that motion, let me address one other component. So there's also the issue of security there. And while that is separate and a standalone issue, I think it very much meshes with this request for the policy and this additional usage. So what I said in the agenda packet is that there is a preferred vendor for cameras, and that amount is 21,000. Just a second. $21,236.48. And that's after our IT has gone through and reduced what they felt was some redundancy in that coverage. But I had asked that if you approve this policy and the corresponding fee schedule, that those rentals actually wait until we get those cameras installed. And this is an item in which the funds are actually available in this current budget, not the proposed budget available for those cameras. So we do not have, according to our purchasing policy, 3 bids on that because this is a vendor, I will say a preferred vendor for the direction that the IT department wants the cameras to go. And they can correct me if, is that fair, Kara or Jason? And so the request is if you're open to approving this policy and the fee schedule, that you also authorize as part of your motion the purchase of those cameras.
That money is available in the 25 budget. 24
It is available.
All right, you've heard the manager. What's the pleasure of the board?
I make a motion that we approve.
Is that including the camera installation, Mr. Totten?
Yes, sir.
You have a motion from Mr. Totten to approve the policy and fee schedule for CoSquare along with the cameras. Do I have a second? I'll second the motion. Any discussion?
Mr. County Manager, this policy is exactly like what we looked at. Nothing's been changed on,
Nothing has been changed. It's straight from your last meeting, just with the question about this particular item.
yeah, I mean, I saw right here in the bottom where the, attorney was gonna look closer, but that answered my question. Thank you.
Any more discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor, let it be known by raising your right hand. All those opposed? Motion carries. County manager updates, reports, whatever you want to tell us.
Just a second to wake my computer back up. So we had talked about, I had talked about at the last meeting, making some changes really that I think will work better for citizens viewing presentations here, and also even for you, especially the ones that are on the outer limits that are seeing this TV in front of you at a different angle. And this is not the perfect representation. This is hastily put together, but to give you an idea, I would like to incorporate a projector and showing you things on screen at times, and IT has been great, just helping me work through this idea. And just a quick example, if you were at a recent meeting and you were we had a presentation, I'll give you a spreadsheet, for instance, that were on these TVs to the audience's left and right. if you were sitting where this officer is in the back, you would not be able to read this spreadsheet on those TVs. But with the exception of where he's sitting in that corner of the room, I think just about everybody in this room can see that on the screen on the wall right now, and we'll improve the vibrancy of that, but likely more so than the TV screen. Is that fair from the audience? So I also thought if you're on the outer edges, if the same presentation was on this screen, it may actually be easier for you to see on the wall. And I just put this up here as a quick example of how we hope to present that information better. And we'll continue to improve that. But is that very legible for you at the table, the podium? Okay.
Yes, sir.
And so that's all I have on that. And in terms of other items, we're continuing to try to fill some key vacancies, particularly our HR director is the most pressing, and then also our CFO position. So I will keep you updated as a board on those items, and that's all I have this evening.
All right, thank you. Of course, attorney is not with us tonight. Commissioner updates, Mr. Totten, quick questions, updates, whatever's on your mind.
No, I'm good.
All right, Mr. Smith?
Yes, sir. It looks like the largest hurdle we have to overcome tonight or in the coming days is to reconcile this school budget. So I would suggest we reach out as soon as possible to the school board and encourage them to talk to us, meet with us, open a line of communications so we can start seeing what their needs are for the coming year as soon as possible.
Mr. Rose?
Adeline, nothing. Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Ingram?
Nothing.
Mr. Claggett?
I don't have anything.
All right, Mr. Claggett, on behalf of myself, and I'm probably think I can speak for the board, I'd like to welcome you on. And I believe, if memory serves me correct, you and I served on the Board of Adjustment.
That's correct.
Soon, I believe it was immediately after the commissioners made it a citizens board, you and I were appointed. I believe we were the first board members. It was 5 of us, but you and I were the original. I came off once I was elected to this position. Couldn't serve 2 places, they said. And I will say that although you and I didn't always agree, we always were civil. Civil, that's the word I'm looking for. And we left as friends. I hope we did in that. So welcome aboard. Thank you. All right, upcoming events, let's see. Budget work session, which we will continue. We started the budget work session this afternoon at 3 o'clock, didn't finish. We will continue here shortly. Farmers market, as it is every Thursday, I think, from now through September. Commissioners meeting on the 16th here at 6:30. And hopefully we will have the budget finalized and approve the budget ordinance. Board of Adjustment meeting on the 17th at 2. Planning board on the 24th at 1 at the library. Now, we are going to work on the budget some more, and like Commissioner Smith said, the only item that we haven't come to a consensus on is the budget for the school board. And when we left our discussions at the library, we were talking about supplements, teacher supplements, I believe. And we had a proposal that was made. And since that time, I have talked with 1 or 2, 3 of the board members, not everybody. And I know I hadn't talked to Mr. Claggett about this. I'm gonna throw a number out at you, Renee. $1,000 teacher certified teachers, $500 for everybody else. That equates to a 1 cent
Yes,
tax increase.
exactly. It's 240,000.
The floor is open for discussion, gentlemen.
Chairman,
Yes, sir, Mr. Todd.
that sounds good to me. Reason I say that is because, like I had said before, this is an opportunity for us. Erase the zero to give the county, to give the teachers something. And correct me if I'm wrong, was this, and I think Commissioner Rose mentioned, that would be a flat, that would be like a bonus, is that right? Yeah. Yep.
Yes, if I'm not mistaken, that's just gonna be a flat rate for everybody. So,
Given at a certain time, is that correct?
I'll ask Mr. Ingram. He had a recommendation on the timing.
Okay.
The timing actually that I had with giving it out was, give half out, at their Christmas paycheck. And then give half at the, end of school.
I do think it's up to the Board of Education. We can make a recommendation or a request.
Thank you.
I would make a comment, but I'll just keep that to myself. Any other comments or questions on the teacher supplement? We have agreed on the capital projects, and that's going to be a project ordinance, I believe, Ms. Pascal.
888,000 will be in a project ordinance and 400,000 will be in regular capital outlay.
Okay, and that money for capital needs doesn't come out of general fund.
That will come from school capital reserve.
Yeah, that is on hand.
Mr. Chair, Ms. Pascal, the original teacher supplement to what we're looking at now, how much are we cutting from that original?
About 200,000.
Okay, Mr. Claggett.
Yeah, so I was just curious about the latest status of county funds. Where do we sit on that?
I'll have to defer to someone that knows a lot more about it than I do, either the manager or former interim manager.
Sorry, what was the question?
What's the latest status of county funds? We're talking about teacher supplements, and I would just like to know where we stand.
Well, as of the 23 audit, we did add to fund balance. I'd have to pull the audit up to say how much. We tentatively are projecting a surplus in 24, but we are projecting a deficit in 25.
And what's this projection based on?
Actual estimating expenditures and revenues. When the budget was prepared for 26, we went into every single department's budget, pulled all of their actual transactions from our financial software, and did an estimate for what we would spend through the end of the fiscal year.
Thank you.
I think going back to the 24-25 budget, which we are winding down now, that there was a large sum taken out of fund balance to avoid a tax increase. Am I thinking about that right? I'll have to ask. Let's see, Frank, you were on the board then. Everybody else is new.
Yeah, we did, because last year it came back to revenue neutral.
Well, yeah, it was revenue neutral, but to avoid any tax increase, we drew fund balance,
We did.
drew on it pretty heavily, best
Yeah.
I recall,
Yes, you appropriated over $4 million.
out of fund balance for recurring expenses, more or less, a lot of it.
Right, my numbers are, we have 166 certified personnel and 149 classified personnel, and that totals to the 315 that they stated during the meeting.
All right.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I feel like the teachers are a big part of the Caswell family as well as our employees. And I'm looking at, I want to do something that's fair for not only our people, but to encourage our teachers to stay in Caswell County and better our education. So I think this is a good compromise. We're not exceeding the percentage of increase we're giving our people. So I'm for it.
Anybody? Any other comments? The general consensus is to go with this amount? All right. We've got that one out of the way, Ms. Pascal. I think operating budget is the only item we have left for the school system. I gotta pull my numbers. Okay, school system requested. Am I looking at this right? 3.869 million? Is that the request?
Give me 1 second.
Yeah.
Closed out my computer. Yes, so the current year funding is 2,779,228. They requested 3,869,047, which is an increase of 1,089,819 or 39%.
Last year, they requested a little over 3.5, going by the printout that y'all gave us today, Brooke. No, that was what we adopted last year. They requested
Yeah, they did.
3.5. Right. Okay, gentlemen. We need to hash this one out. At all possible.
The other comment to make is that the reason why it increased so much is because they're not appropriating any fund balance, which I think we didn't get really clear answers at the meeting last Wednesday about how much fund balance they think they'll spend in the current year. They told us how much they appropriated, but not how much they think they will spend.
Okay. Yeah, I see that on their printout now where fund balance, they aren't showing spending any fund balance in the upcoming fiscal year. Where they spend a little over 600,000 in fund balance in the current cycle. I'm all ears, guys.
The fund balance at this time is, did you say 600?
They spent a little over 600,000 out of their fund balance for the current fiscal year. They don't have anything showing coming out of fund balance for the upcoming fiscal year. If I'm reading this paper correctly.
That just shows they budgeted they budgeted that much fund balance. It doesn't mean they will spend that much.
Gotcha. Okay, all right. they budgeted 608, not necessarily use 608. Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I have two concerns. Number one, I want to make sure we provide enough funding to the schools to keep them financially healthy. But by the same token, I think it's a number of items on their submittal here that are not the county's responsibility. And I would like your input as to what you think we should do about that.
So most counties in the state of North Carolina now fund more than what their legal responsibilities are. And the reason is the state has cut school funding. And the counties have had to step up to continue current operations with local funds. I do have a concern, the more state functions you take over, such as personnel, if a person is funded locally, then what happens when the state increases salaries is then the local funds have to match that salary increase. So it is a difficult path, I guess, but we're already doing it, as Jonna's analysis showed. We are already covering items that are not in our legal responsibility.
And just to update to that number of school employees, we just said it was 315. I just got an updated number that's 398. Send me a text. So that does change that amount. So I just wanted to be clear before we got further into this.
What's the breakdown between certified and classified?
I don't have that number. I just have a total.
166.
How much?
166 is certified, so the difference there between 398 and 166 would be the classified.
Vote two.
You get ready to go up.
232. So you got 232 that are, am I doing my math right, Mr. Totten? I believe you said 232.
232 classified.
So then the total is 282,000 instead of 240,000.
I'm gonna give you my opinion on that since we're back in that ball field. Still $1,000 for certified, and however the math works out on everybody else for the remaining funds out of a 1 cent tax increase. Out of that 240,000, you take from my opinion, you take 166 for the certified teachers, 166,000, that leaves you, what, $74,000? And divide that by whatever other personnel you have. Now, that's my take. It's employment number either. Everybody else speak up. Now's the time.
Yeah, man, that number changed on us a couple times, so. Can't just keep adding to it, so.
School employees, that's, Brooke, maybe you can ask this, bus drivers, custodians, that's everybody else that works for the school system in that 232.
Now, is that positions that are filled, or is that just?
So you're saying that's 398 currently employed with that many more vacancies?
What's your thoughts, gentlemen? I thought we was through with this one a few minutes ago.
Usually what, if you don't mind,
Yes.
okay, usually what happens is, there's some directives that comes from the, Board of Ed or Superintendent or Board of Ed that states, for example, if you've been employed for the beginning of the year, you know, then you're eligible for whatever. Because the numbers do move, they constantly move. We're trying to fill positions. The chairman, he just came up with, I mean, I think that's fair. What he came up with, you just divvy out the rest. I mean, but we got to give them something, so. Somebody could, you could have 2 or 3 employees come in the middle of the year, so. In the past, that's what where a letter comes out that says if you've been employed from the beginning of the year, you're able to get the monies or the supplement. That's just my comment.
I was actually fine with the 315 employees. And it seems like it actually has moved a couple times. And I just don't think we can keep going that way. And I'm in agreement with you as well as what we can give now. And we go on from there. But like I said, education is very, very important. It's dear to my heart when it comes to education. But however, like I said earlier today, it's just one little pot of gold, and everyone has their hand in. So everyone seems to, we need to do what we can, in that sense to help. And if that's the way that it has to go on this last 74,000, then I'm fine with that. But like I say, it's very, very, very important because at the end of the day, the kids is always the ones that actually pay for decisions that's being made, whether they're right or whether they're wrong. So that's where I'm at on that.
Let me add, the board, we just, we came to a number, and so I think based on the funds that we have agreed on, we have to divvy out the supplement based on the funds we have. The number may change, and I think you just mentioned, Renee, about, now it's down to 3, it was 500, but I think that probably is the better way to handle it. These are the funds we have, and at a certain point, we have to, how many employees do you have?
And it is up to the Board of Education. If we give them a certain amount of money for supplements, then they can say who gets what. So I would just say that we're going to allocate the 200, whatever one penny brings, it's a little over 240.
But we can recommend.
We can recommend.
Any other comments, questions? Let's get this school supplement behind us. I thought we were through with it 10 minutes ago, but
I think it's a fair compromise.
so still looking at the 240,000, and the board recommends, I think, $1,000 for certified teachers, a remaining balance of approximately 74,000 divided equally among those other employees. However, the school board wants to do it, they'll do it, but commissioners will recommend that. Okay, now, back to the operating budget. Thoughts, gentlemen?
Ms. Pascal, did the board give you any, going back down to this policy leadership and public relations services that increase, any explanation as to what that is?
I'm sorry, are you looking at the
That two
the
point?
account 6,900?
Yes, ma'am.
The school finance officer is here. If she would like to answer that question.
Okay, Brooke, can you explain what that policy leadership and public relations services is that increased 89,551? Is that something that the school could fund out of fund balance on that increase? And the reason I'm getting at that is because we have increase for the county, we have to deal with it. But this increase apparently is in here for us to deal with it. And it was, another one on here, 55, well, the 5,500 co-curricular services athletics.
The school get allocations for football uniforms, for practice uniforms, and also to do coaching supplements as well.
Coaching supplements. So supplements are built into that. So how,
Coaching, but coach a team.
but they're not school, are they school employees? They're what? I understand what vetted means. Are they a school employee or how many? And I hate to put you on the spot, but
Maybe 20 or. I feel like that number is probably not bad.
okay, so I guess what I'm getting at is that 5,500, that you've got supplements built in for that. For those coaches. Supplements built in here anywhere else.
Any more questions? Comments?
Mr. Chairman,
Mhm.
last year, I think we gave like 2.8 million to operating expenses. And they had to match or put some fund balance in with that to make things work, right? So I'm of the opinion that we should, provide that much funding again this year, plus a inflation percentage increase. And, as a very minimum,
You got a percentage number?
whatever the CPI is,
What is this?
3%.
Pardon?
CPI number, you got an idea? What it is now currently?
That's what we were talking about.
I can Google it.
That'd be fine.
Maybe I didn't catch it all.
It's been 2.1 over the 2.1% over the last 12 months.
So if you take 2.8 million and add 2.1% to it, is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir. Mhm.
Can you throw us that number, Ms. Pascal?
I can. You want me to use 2.8 rounded or what we actually?
What we actually budgeted last
Okay.
would be better.
Yep.
That'd be 2,779, 228.
So that would increase their allocation by $363, if I've done my math correctly.
Yeah, because 1% would be 27,000 plus, a little over 27,000. 2% would be 54.1. Okay, okay. So the total is 2,800,000 what?
2,837,592.
So y'all have heard that proposal from Commissioner Smith. Take last year's adopted budget and add an inflation adjustment of 2.1%, which brings the total to 2,837,592. What's the pleasure of the board on that matter? Is that a number you can live with? I know it's not what the school wants, but we've pretty much given them what they want on capital expenses and didn't give them all the money they wanted on a supplement, but we gave them some, which they hadn't been getting, so. You good with that, Mr. Todd? Mr. Rose?
Ms. Pascal, we did say on the capital project stuff that we've already looked at, that those funds will be held until
Yes, for the capital projects, we will hold the funds
until the work.
until the project's underway and they're submitting invoices.
And then we'll
Yes.
pay it.
Yes.
Thank you.
So you good with the 2.837? Mr. Ingram,
Yes, sir, I'm good.
Mr. Claggett? All right. Well, the majority of the board says they're fine with that number. So consensus of the board, operating budget, go ahead. Are you gonna say something?
Go ahead.
Operating budget for school system will be $2,837,592.
From where do I take that?
The increase, what's that, about a fifth of 1 cent of tax revenue? In 2018, is that school bond referendum year? Am I thinking about the year right?
Yes, sir. That's right.
Taxpayers voted school bond, approved the school bond referendum, and that language included it could be a possible tax increase. The county has done their best not to do it, but I guess you're gonna have to add a 1/4 cent to what's already been added. So, what we've already discussed.
Okay.
And that's my thinking, you know. This is not a one-man show by any means. But I
Well,
don't see it
no,
taking
it's
that to general fund
Eight.
balance because it's a recurring expense. And that's something we did last year and it's gonna bite us, taking a lot out of fund balance. But, you know,
And how long did that go back, Ms. Renee? Where,
How long?
it wasn't ever taken out through that referendum?
It was approved in 2018, but the bonds weren't sold until later. And I think the project was finished around 2022 or 23. So it's been 2 or 3 years.
And it's
At roughly, what, 600,000?
680.
I can tell you exactly if you give me a second.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
$644, $648.
About 2.5 cents, over 2.5 cents of property tax just to make that school payment every year. But citizens approved it, so.
Okay,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
You said earlier that we're looking at 3% tax increase. So I'm assuming that this is a line item that we're going to put on the tax bill as well, the 2.5 cents for the school referendum that was voted for in 2018. So looking at adding 1.25 penny to that. So what are we looking at there net beyond the school money being taxed?
So that equates, the school debt equates to 2.7 cents on the tax rate. So it would be 4.2 minus 2.7.
Penny and a half.
Okay, now what percent is that of 58.5?
That's one, what percentage is it?
Yeah, what percentage is that? If we have to increase our tax rate by that amount, what percentage is that?
Okay, so. um, I'll just do it in a spreadsheet. I'm getting a little over, that can't be right. Let me do it on a calculator. It's just the 4.2, never mind. 2 to a 7% increase.
Not counting the school bond. Take that out.
Okay.
Because it's there already. I mean, we're just doing what the commissioner said 6 years ago to do.
Yeah.
So what are we increasing now to pay the schools and the supplements and the operating expenses?
It's about 2.5 or 2.6% if you take the school
Okay.
debt amount out.
All right, so that's in line with the consumer price index, then the 2.1 we talked about. So,
Yes. And considering how much fund balance you appropriated last year,
that's the true increase in our taxes this coming year.
All right, so you got all this, Renee, as far as the schools go? All right, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, that wraps up all of our budget work. So the process, you will come up with a budget ordinance that we will vote on at our meeting on the 16th, am I correct?
Correct. There is one more matter, and I'm sorry.
Okay.
The board sets the salaries for the sheriff, the manager, and the register of deeds, which I've always included in the budget ordinance. Right now, it's budgeted at the same amount as the rest of the county employees, 1.5%.
I'm good with the 1.5% myself. Anybody got any objections to those three positions? Receiving the same salary increase as every other county employee? All right. You had no objection. That would be 1.5.
That's all.
All right. Let me get my paper right here. We will not be having a closed session tonight. Am I right, Scott?
Yes, when we announced that the attorney at the beginning wasn't here and you made your change, I'm interpreting that as you moved the school item and you struck the closed session.
Yeah. And, okay. All right. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion from Commissioner Smith,
Second.
second from Commissioner Ingram. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. Motion carried. We stand adjourned. Thank y'all.